who have some training. Welcome to our session, Zooming Through SMART in your synchronous lesson. I am Kelly Miksch from Tech and Design, Office of Educational Technology and Extended Learning. I am here with Casey Germanic, and in a minute I'll turn it over to her to get started. She is from SMART Technologies, so she's really pairing with us here in the district. And so if you were here last week, welcome back. I know I see a couple similar names from last week. So we're going to continue with our series. If we're going to be going through some things. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Casey, you want to introduce yourself, and then I guess we'll start with the file. But I did have somebody else just join. I'm going to put into the chat the sign-in link, presentation link, all kinds of things, okay? So I'm gonna turn it over to Casey. Casey, you're muted. You're muted.
Now we should be good. Now are we good?
Yes, now
all
I
right.
hear you.
So I know Kelly's putting some different links in the chat right now. You can just follow along with me on my screen currently. In a little bit, I'm going to actually have you join my lesson through Canvas so you can see how you would do this with your students too. But we're going to start where I'm just sharing my screen with my kids initially. And you can do the same thing with your kids. Sometimes you don't need them to join on their devices. Sometimes you can just share what's on your board like I am through our Zoom app, which is what we're going to talk about today, and start there, and then have your students join partway through or when you start a new lesson or something like that. So we're going to take a look at both of those things. So I know that Kelly said some of you guys are back from last week, so I'm so glad that you are joining us again. Thanks for coming back. Those of you that weren't here last week, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. My name's Casey Germanic, and I work as a Senior Professional Development Specialist for SMART, which normally means I travel around North America and work with teachers like you guys on best practices, leveraging the hardware that you have and the software that you have. I am from the classroom, so I taught for 20 years in Northeast ISD. So I actually have worked with Kelly before we have started partnering up in this way too. So I'm excited to continue our working relationship and glad to be working with you guys. And I have been working with San Antonio throughout the last couple of years, and I'm very happy to continue working with you. You guys have a really fantastic team, and Kelly's an amazing resource and has worked really hard to create some really great resources for you that she's going to talk about today. But please know that you can reach out to me as well with any questions that you guys have. That's what I'm here for, is to help smooth the road for you too, as best we can. All right, so Kelly, I know there's a couple of things that I wanted to share and let you talk to before we get started.
So again, I'm Kelly Miksch from the Office of Educational Technology and Extended Learning. We're here to support you with the tools that you have and really kind of help integrate the technology, fostering those technology applications and the ISTE standards and things along with your TEKs that you're doing. So just know that our team is here to support you on that integration, and feel free to bookmark our website along with following us on Twitter. You want to go into the next one? So I put all of these links except for the last one in the chat. So definitely sign in so you receive that credit. And then we've got two other links, presentation link and a Smart Learning Suite link. And the reason why I'm providing both is that Casey and I collaborated on the presentation link. And what that is it's the Google Slides. And then from there, she's transformed this into a Smart Learning Suite activity. So just know you're going to see similar things if you download both. But we did start off in Google, but I wanted to give you access to both. And then the last one is if this is your first time joining us, and I can put that link into the chat, is like Casey said, we're going to be running things through Canvas. And right now, all of these resources will be in the Canvas course that you can self-enroll in the district's Canvas course that I've created. So again, I'll put that link into the chat for us. but it's just a piece for you to find out. I put out announcements about the trainings that we're doing. Like I dropped another announcement this morning saying, don't forget to sign up for today's training. I will again link, and we're going to talk about the resource page. So like all these recordings that Casey and I have, along with the files, where they'll be, so you can share them with your colleagues. So it's a great place to connect with us, and you can even message us and in the inbox and send us a question and stuff. Or Casey's provided her email address, and you'll have my email address also.
Yeah, and I'll just put a side plug in. I've gotten to see some of the resources and things that Kelly and team have been working on, and I have to say they're really, really great and very simple and easy to use. So I really encourage you guys to be part of that course, because I think you'll find it really helpful for SMART and Canvas, but also even beyond that for some of the other tools that the district has available for you guys.
And one more thing is, wanted to just highlight a few things that we have going on in our department. One is our EdTech PD portal. Know that those are courses that you can take anywhere, anytime. They are asynchronous. They're on our webpage, so please feel free to come by and take one of those. Along with, here is all of the SMART sessions that Casey and I will be doing. So if you want to plug them into your calendar, register, all the links are there. The descriptions that are also there that are in Performance Matters, they're all there. And then another thing is we have office hours daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 5. So feel free to come and join us and brainstorm ideas. If you get stuck on something, come on over. And then we also have Tech Tuesdays. Look in Performance Matters and check out what we have going on with Tech Tuesdays. I think next week is Tanya's doing, I think, a data one. So lots of offerings that we have to, again, continue to support you in your instruction with your students. So lots of links there for you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started and kind of understand what we're going to see today. So first off, I just want to give you some context. So right now you're on Zoom as my students, right? So imagine the same thing, the same setup in your classroom, right? Where you're the teacher, you're at your board, you're connected to Zoom, and you are working with students that are both inside and outside of your classroom. So one of the things that I've noticed as that's very different. Usually as teachers, we're up and moving all the time, and doing remote learning, we end up sitting quite a bit, which is not good for us mentally or physically. And it really, limits what we can do. We want to show you how you can incorporate your board fully into what you're doing with students, whether they're physically in your class or whether they're at home. And so we're going to take a look at an app that you have available on your Smart IFP, the Zoom app. So Zoom is what you guys have been using to connect with students through remote learning. Now we can continue to do that, but this time I can use and leverage my board. So what you guys are seeing when I screen shared, I actually am screen sharing from my board itself using Zoom. So I've connected to my board to Zoom, and I have also connected to my computer through Zoom, so I can see your faces on my computer screen. And then you guys are lucky at your district that you have this swivel that allows you to be walking around your classroom and picking up what you're doing, and your kids can see you. Well, I'm using my phone. I don't have the cool contraption you do, but kind of the same deal, right? I have my phone that can video me standing at my board. I can have my computer, my board screen shared with my students so they can see everything I'm doing very clearly on their devices at home or in the classroom. And that really bridges that gap and makes it really a great way to support kids no matter what the situation is. Because even when we eventually get our kids back in person, we may still have some kids that have to do remote learning, or maybe even have to quarantine from time to time. So really understanding how the Zoom app on your board works, how we can find it, and how we can make all these pieces work together. The other thing we want to showcase is how everything that you do can live and work within Canvas, because that's where you're living anyway. That's your learning management system. That's what your kids are using. And we want it all to be integrated. So how can we use Zoom and Canvas and Smart all together? So we're going to take a look at that. You guys are going to join my lesson in a moment through Canvas. If you were here with me last time, I just had you open a web browser and join me. This time we're going to show you what does it look like if we do it through Canvas. And then, so understanding the Zoom details, and then we're gonna actually look at a particular tool in Smart Learning Suite Online. We're gonna look at Shout It Out. We had a huge update, a very exciting update go out for Smart Learning Suite Online, which lives in your Google Drive yesterday. There's a lot of cool things, but with our time today, we're gonna focus on Shout It Out and how it has changed and what you can do with it. And you will actually, everyone's gonna build a Shout It Out today to kind of close out our session. So we're going to look at Zoom and first and how it works on our board. Then we're going to get connected to my lesson that I'm sharing right now on the board. You're going to get connected to it through Canvas. And then we're going to look at how we can use Shout It Out both as a student and as a teacher. All right, so I'm actually going to walk you through these steps in just a moment. One of the great things is because I can share the whole screen of my board, I can show every keystroke I make, everything I do. You can see as a student in real time. But I have this image to help you guys as a resource after the fact when I'm not standing in the classroom with you to help you go through these steps. And there's even a little video that you can watch. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our apps library and we're going to click add, and we're going to search for, under our Android devices, we're going to search for the Zoom app. Now, if you're looking at my screen, you'll notice that my Zoom app has a green check mark, or a green circle with a check mark. That's because I've already downloaded it on my device. If you look at, let's look at the GeoGebra right next to it right here. If you look at that one that I just circled in black, it has a blue icon with an arrow pointing down to indicate it is ready to be downloaded onto your board. So what you'll see when you choose the add button, and then you click, when you look at Zoom, you will see that white arrow pointing down to indicate you want to click that to download Zoom onto your device. So I'm going to walk you through those steps in a moment so you can see that. And the next thing that you can choose to do, and this is completely optional, I'm using Zoom a lot. I'm using it pretty much daily. So since I'm using it so frequently, I wanted to make it a favorite. So it's right on my desktop, easy for me to find and use. So once you've added it, we're going to go back to the App Store, and you'll notice that you have a little green or a little star. It won't be green yet. A little star in the left corner. You can touch that star, and what that does is it moves it to your favorites on your desktop, so it will show up right here, ready for you to use at any time. So let's walk through those steps and see exactly what you have to do. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to hit my home screen to go back to my home menu. So notice that as soon as I hit home, I left my lesson and I went to my desktop of my board, and you guys saw that happen in real time. That's what will happen with your students too. If you make a change on the board, they're going to see it. So over here, if you look at the bottom of the board in the center, you're going to see 3 bubbles. You have your files bubble, your apps bubble, and your screen share bubble. Depending on your board, you might have a couple of extra bubbles, but for the most part, those are the ones that you're going to see. I'm going to click on the apps button because I want to go find the Zoom app. So when I click on the apps button, I have a few apps. When you click on yours, you may not see as many as I do because I've already added some apps into my app library. Currently, the app library, it's kind of a misnomer. Mostly when you're adding an app, you're actually adding almost a web link, so like a shortcut to a website. But we do have some Android apps that are able to be downloaded on our device, and Zoom is one of them. So at this point, I want to click the add button in the top left corner. When I do, I'm going to see a bunch of different things pop out. So I have my Android, which is the first section we see. Those are like actual apps where we have to download them onto our device. Then we'll see some smart support that we can click a plus button, and they'll be added to our apps as well, but it's really like going to a website. We have our Microsoft and we have our Google content as well. So you can add any of those things. Now, just like you know, Google is a web-based program. So if I add Google Slides, I'm just adding a web link, a quick way to get my to Google Slides without me having to go to the web browser and type in slides.google.com. So just a thing to think about. So at this point, what I would do is I would click on the Zoom button. I'd click that arrow that's pointing down, and it would download onto my board. You can see I have a green check mark on mine because I've already downloaded it. Okay, so once I've downloaded it, I can hit the App Store again, and now I should see it here in my list of apps. Okay, now notice that there's a couple of apps that have green stars because I've decided those are things that are important to me that I go to every day, so I want them to be a favorite. Zoom is one of them. So all I did to make it a favorite is I'll touch the one right next to it, the Newsela. I touch it and it becomes green. And now you'll see when I hit the home screen, I'm going to see Newsela as one, or Newsela, however you guys say it. I think we all just debate back and forth. When I hit the home button now, if you look under favorites on my screen, you're going to see I have whiteboard, browser, player. There's my Zoom app because I had that green check mark, that green star. And next to it now is that Newsela or Newsela app as well. So they're there ready for me to use at any time. Any questions so far, Kelly, that I need to talk about or go back over?
No, the only one, Casey, will you go back into the apps? Because I do want to highlight, because I know we've got some people that have got new boards. And I guess click on the plus sign. Go one more. You know, again, if you, for some reason, can't get a hold of myself or my team, our team here in the district, or you can't get a hold of Casey, if the board is new, if you look at that smart support, now again, this is when you be on campus on your board, know that Smart has put in there where you can get some getting started or those teacher guides. So both of those, you know, are those extra support pieces for you. It may be something that you want to share with a colleague, and just know that those are there to help you. They got great resources. Yeah, and the IQ support. You can go and put those onto your board. So if you want to do that quick, oh, I can't remember what they said to do with the IQ on the IQ, I can click into the IQ support and it's got some documents and things in there for you. So just know that those resources are there also directly on the board.
And all I did was hit the plus button to add them. And now if I go to apps, we'll go ahead and check one out right quick. So I have all of those that I just added. So if I was looking for some IQ help, and remember, it's kind of the board, when we talk about IQ, that's the board's mini computer. The board has a mini computer, an Android device built in or added in, and that's your IQ. So if you want some support with IQ, you can just touch it. And what it does is, notice it's opening a web browser right now. So that's where I was talking about. Some of these are web links, and it's taking us to our web browser so we can get help on knowing and getting answers to different things that we can do with our device. It's right here ready for us to go, and it's built into that app place so that I can go and find it easily. And that goes for additional websites that you might use on a regular basis. So if I'm a kindergarten teacher and I go to Starfall all the time, I can add Starfall as an app. And that means my kids can go to it pretty easily without having to have me come and type in starfall.com or anything along those lines. All right, so the other thing I want to point out is, once you have added Zoom to your app, you can either just leave it in your app store, or you can touch that star to make it a favorite, so it's always living on your desktop. So right now, in the life we're living, right, you might want to have Zoom under your favorites, but maybe next year you may not need that to be as a favorite, hopefully. So you may just unstar it, and then it won't be right here on your screen. Now, when I click on Zoom right now, you're going to see me and me and me and me and me, because I'm sharing my screen. If you look over here, I can stop sharing. So I'm going to do that really quickly. And notice now, when on your Google Meet, you're just seeing all of the participants and their videos, and you're seeing me standing at the board in my video too. If I want to share with my students, I'm just going to click on the share button and choose screen. I want to share my whole screen. And so just like that, now you guys are back to seeing what's on my screen. So if I were to touch a whiteboard, it's going to open for you on your screen as well. And if I come in here and write a message, your students will see this too. They'll see it happening in real time. So if you need to model something, solve a problem, use any of the fun tools that we went over last week. We went over a lot of the fun tools that we have available, like graphic organizers and whatnot, that are available to you guys to use directly with your board under whiteboard. We will have another training that was like last week where we go through the details of the board. So if you're interested in that, I think that's March 1st, where we break everything down. But anything that you pull up on the board, as a teacher, I can begin writing on it. Let's see, ways to make 100. So I can write on this and have my students either give me ideas from both in the classroom or through the chat, or again, there are ways for me to share this, which we'll talk about in just a minute. My students can connect to this lesson through Canvas and see it on their device and actually actively participate as well. So there's a really great way to bring this in. Your kids can see a nice, clear vision of your board and what you're doing on your board through that Zoom app.
So Casey, before we move on, real quick, the question is, and it's yes, you would log in, and we're actually going to go through the steps of what you would do.
Yes.
You would log into, you could launch the Zoom from your laptop, then you would launch Zoom from your smartboard and become a participant. But one of the things you would want to do is make the smartboard be your co-presenter. Sorry, lost my thought. Co-presenter. And then that way you have both. So that way you can share the screen like Casey did when she went down to share and she picked the screen. So that way you have it. What's nice about being logged in on your laptop is the fact that you're able to see all of the icons of all the kids versus not being able to see those. Okay. And then, so bringing all of this together, and so thanks Casey for bringing this up, is again, launch Zoom from your laptop, launch it from the smartboard, make sure that the smartboard is a co-host. We do, not everybody has it, but we have many people who have the swivel. So the swivel, you would launch Zoom also as a participant. So then technically, kind of like what Casey has today, she's logged in 3 times, you would do 3 Zoom launches. And then what we're going to do is then, how would your kids, besides using the whiteboard, how would they see it in their Canvas besides being on Zoom? So those are the next steps that we're going to be doing. But again, launching it, the Zoom from the laptop, the smartboard, and if you happen to have a swivel, you can add in that swivel, because that swivel, it takes you around the classroom and it allows you to be more of a facilitator versus being tied directly to the front of the classroom.
Yeah, so basically reiterating sort of what Kelly was already saying is when we got it set up today, when I set up today, the first thing I did was I got on my teacher device and I joined the Zoom. I signed into the Zoom that way first. And then I came and connected my board and made sure that my board was also connected, that I joined, all I did was join my same class. And I actually can walk you through that step too, so you can see it happen. But I joined this class, and it's very simple. In fact, because I joined it last week, it actually remembered, and I was able to join very quickly and easily. I didn't have to type in the meeting code. I started to type in the numbers and it immediately recognized, oh, SAIC. So I just touched it and said, yeah, I want to join that meeting. And then in this particular case, I'm using my phone kind of like y'all's swivel, although obviously your swivel can do more than my phone can. But what I did was I just joined Zoom on my phone really quickly using that same meeting ID. So what that allows me to do is it allows my kids to see me standing here at the board, right? And it allows me to interact and share my screen from my board as well. And like Kelly said, I have my computer in front of me so I can look down and see y'all's faces and see what you're doing. And that helps me to stay connected with the students that are at home. So I can see their body language, see if they're getting confused, see if I'm going too fast on something. So it's a really nice piece. Now, if you don't have the swivel and you can't set up a phone like I have set up, then I could use my computer to share my screen. I mean, share me, like you turn my video on. I have it turned off on my computer right now because I'm using my phone. I could turn on my video on my computer, and my students would still be able to see me standing at the board while also screen sharing if you wanted that feel. Anything else we want to top off on, Kelly, before we get connected to the lesson in Canvas?
Okay, so the question is, are you talking with wireless headphones? Do you have your AirPods in?
I do have my AirPods in. That's what I'm personally using. Again, different setups work different ways. I'm using my AirPods because they connect really nicely with my phone, and that's what I'm using. But different, you can use your I have also used just the speakers off of my computer and the microphone off of my computer as well, if that's the only tools I have available. And Kelly, you might have some more information specific to San Antonio setup that you might want to address.
Well, you kind of hit on it about using the microphone off the laptop. That may be one of the ways of doing it. And if you had AirPods to connect to the laptop, great. But you have to think about, if you put on headphones, if you've got students who are in the classroom, if you put on headphones, then they're going to have to wear headphones. So that way they can hear everything, especially if their classmates are speaking. So just know that that is one piece. The other thing is Swivel did not recommend us to use wireless headphones because of the inconsistent connection. Okay, so if you happen to have a swivel and you did the AirPods or wireless headphones there, they cautioned us because they know of people that have dropped. So again, biggest thing I can say is try it, see what works for you, depending on if you happen to only have a handful of students in the classroom, and you're okay with having them have headphones on and you don't have the swivel, then go for it on the wireless. But if you have a swivel and you've got a large number of students in the classroom, you need to again think about whether or not that's the route you want to go. So can you also install ImageMate on the smartboard? Dr. Ayala, I'm not sure what ImageMate is specifically. Is that
It's a document camera, and so basically, like on my computer, it's hooked up. So a lot of times when I'm Zooming with my students, I can show them whatever it is that I'm writing or working on.
Okay. Is it web-based then, or?
Not really. It's an application that's put onto the actual computer that allows me to use my document camera.
Okay, let me look into that. I don't think that's in their Android store for the application. So we may have to think about how to do that instead.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and it might be have a good conversation to see what types of things you're writing on under your document camera, because a lot of those things can also now be done directly on the smart board too. So it's definitely worth like doing a deeper dive on that conversation to help you out with that.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So like I said, like we were talking about, the first thing is to get your Zoom app loaded on your board, get it connected, getting connected to your computer. And then if you have a swivel, add that piece in as well. Then the next thing we want to talk about is Smart Learning Suite. There's a lot of power here. So some of you that were with me last time, you saw that I was able to share my lesson with you guys and have you join as students and have you actually interact and write on my whiteboard and write on my files in real time, and that I could see your work as well. So that really helps bridge, again, that gap with students that are at home versus kids that are at school. What's really great is that you can do this all through Canvas. That's where your kids are comfortable. That's where they've been going. And that's what we want them to do in your district, is to use that Canvas, and for you guys to use Canvas as well. So really quickly, I'm going to show you how you can get together with Canvas and Smart. So I'm going to go to my browser on my board. You guys can open a browser on your device. So if you just want to open one of your browsers, and I want you to open your Canvas. So you're going to open a browser on your device, and I want you to navigate to your Canvas. So I'll give everyone a second to do that. When you are connected to your Canvas, if you can put "I'm ready" in the chat so Kelly can let me know. I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to just waste your time either.
Does anybody need the self-enrollment code for the course?
Because
Yes.
we're going to be going through Kelly's course. So yeah, you make sure you
Okay,
have
let
that
me
if you
put that-
don't.
I'll put the link again in the chat. So that way you can join the course. And again, if you happen to come back for other sessions with Casey and I, again, everything will be going through the Canvas course, and all of the resources at the end will kind of show you where all the resources are. Okay, so I've got one person ready. They're in their Canvas.
Good. And one of the great things is what I'm going to do with you, Kelly has set up through her Canvas course. And so that's how we're going to navigate to it. But she has a great resources, videos on helping you set up your Canvas so that it can do the same thing with your students. And she's going to talk through that at the very end.
Okay, Casey, it looks like we're ready.
All right, so what I'm going to do well, first of all, I could click on my course right here, or on the left side, I can click on courses as well and click on my Canvas training course. Either way, you want to go to Kelly's Canvas training course, where she has all the goodies, everything that you would want to use ever.
And you're going to see Casey's in my demo account, so she's got a little bit more access. So just know that you're going to be on the student side, and that's what we want you to have, is that student experience as we're doing these trainings.
Absolutely. So what you should see underneath the home is you should see a word that says smart. So all you're going to do is touch that word smart. And what it's going to do for me, I think that it's not, oh, there it goes. So it's going to take you to this screen. Now, you guys are not going to be teachers right now. You're going to be my students. So at the very top, notice where it says, "Are you a student?" in purple. I want you to click, "Are you a student?" Join class. And then you're going to choose join as guest. So usually we would have our students sign in with their Google credentials. And once they've signed in once, it remembers them. But for us, you're not going to be my students for very long, and I need you to be a teacher in a little bit. So we're going to join as a guest. And it's going to ask for a class ID. My class ID is 11311. So you'll enter the class ID 11311. And then you're going to hit the blue button that says next. You'll enter your name. Your first name is fine. And you'll hit join as guest. Ordinarily, you would want our students to sign in, because that means that if they wanted to continue working on their assignment the next day, or if they had to leave early for an appointment, or if their device dies or anything like that, all of their work saved. And when they come back in, they'll get right away started to their lesson. Now you're going to get a message that says, "Hey, waiting for your teacher to start the lesson because I haven't started one yet. I'm about to do that right now."
So Casey, before you do that completely, so just know that what we recommend is that the first time you're going to do this with your kids, give yourself a little extra time for that sign in. And the other reason why we are asking for you to do it through Canvas is to keep the kids from having to have too many tabs, for one. And also it tracks the data for us as a district on how long the kids were in Canvas. Okay, if you pop out to another tab, we lose that tracking. So those are the reasons why running this through Canvas is important. But again, that first initial time you start doing this, give yourself a little extra time, because you're going to get that, "Miss, where do I go? Miss, what do I type in? Miss, what do I do?" That type thing. So just know that first time, but then from then on, like Casey said, once they've logged in on their Canvas course, and I was actually in a class today, and it popped up with the teacher's name, Miss Wilson. So all the kids had to do is just click on Miss Wilson's name and it sent them straight into her lesson. So just know, first time, give yourself a little breathing, extra room, and then you'll be good from then on.
Yeah, I would even recommend the first time, maybe you just have them sign in and maybe do one shout it out or one shared, like ask one question that's a very quick thing, just so they get the experience, they get signed in. So the next time they're ready to go. All right, so I'm going to hit the home screen. You guys stay where you are. I'm going to pull up my lesson now. And when I pull my lesson, when I hit start for you guys, first of all, notice on the left side, I can see you guys are connected to my class. So I can see Dr. Ayala, I can see JD, I can see Kelly, I can see Lauren, I can see Sonia, I can see Susan, I can see everyone here. Now, when I hit start sharing, on your side, you're gonna actually see that lesson inside of your Canvas. And now if I were to write on here, you're gonna see that I'm writing on your device as well. You're gonna see that in real time. Because I am set up to teacher pacing right now, when I move pages, it's gonna move you to a new page as well. So it's taking you through that process. So we're gonna do a quick shout it out. A shout out is a great tool to use whether you teach kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. You're in charge of what types of questions you ask or what you put out for your students. So this is something that will work for all grades. I'm going to hit start for class. On your side, you're going to see a little window that pops up. And it's going to be asking you I'm asking you what we learned about how Smart and Zoom and Canvas all work together. So I want you to type in that white box, what is something that you now know that you didn't know before joining us today? So in that white box, just type a message of what you know now about how Smart and Canvas and Zoom can work together that you didn't know before. And then you'll send that response up and it's going to magically show on my screen over here. So you'll go ahead and type something you learned, something you've discovered that you didn't know about Smart and Canvas and Zoom before, and send it up. And hit send response. All right. Awesome, coming in. So we see, I can be logged into the same Zoom from multiple devices. Yep. And I can use my phone, iPad as a camera for Zoom. Yes, that's what I do because I don't have a cool swivel. Students will be able to see what the teacher is writing clearly and in a large size. Yes. So one of the great things is this is a very easy space for me as a teacher to write and work with. And I can download my PDFs on here. I can open all my Smart Learning Suite lessons on here and work on them, and my kids can see them nice and clear on their screen. I like that you can participate in smart activities right from within Canvas. Yes, so having all these pieces work together, less things for your kids to have to be responsible for, and for you too. Did not know that you could add Zoom to your board or that it could be connected to Canvas. This makes lessons fun and in real time. Absolutely. So great, these are some great things that we discovered. Here, we are actually going to we don't have a whole lot of time, but we're gonna take about our last 10, or we have 20 minutes left. So I'm gonna show you guys how to actually build a shout it out. If you look back on my screen, you're gonna notice that my shout it out has a background that we weren't able to do before. So if you ever used a shout out in the past, it always is this gray background. Well, we had an update that went live last night, and now we can actually customize our backgrounds with shout it out. So we could add like graphic organizers back there, or we could add a map. We could add colors and numbers and organize our students into groups. There's so many possibilities of things that we can do now with the shout it out. So I'm actually going to show you how to build this and get one going that you could use with your kids coming up in just a short time. Kelly, before we look at how we build a shout it out, is there any questions about Zoom and Canvas or anything we want to address really quickly?
Maybe towards the end, there was a question about the tracking for basically the asynchronous for assignments. And so I can walk through that at the end. But the other thing
Yes.
too is, shout it out's a great way to, kind of do an entrance ticket an exit ticket. There's so many, or even just those quick checks of understanding. So think about, if Casey would have been writing out, working through problems, and then wanted to ensure that, we were on the right track, she could instantly throw in this shout it out. So when you're in the classrooms, wanting to get that participation from your students, there are ways of getting them and truly engaging them throughout the entire lesson. And this is one of my favorites of how you can truly engage. So
I agree. Yeah, Kelly, it's one of my favorites too. And it's something you can use, like you said, exit and entrance tickets and just quick checks for understanding throughout a lesson. But they're great for social emotional check-ins too. And they can be really simplistic, right? You could have your students just share a 1, 2, 3, or 4 about how they're feeling about their weekend or their morning, or how they're feeling about their learning. So it can be something really simple where they're sharing a number or an emoji, or one word summary of their weekend, or one word summary of how they describe how confident they feel about their learning. There's a million ways we can use shout it out. And I think so many more now that we can customize the backgrounds as well.
well, and one other thing too is think about if you're leading a training with just your team, your campus, I mean, or even trying to get your administrators to, because everybody has access to this software. You don't have to have a board. Even the administrators can have access. But talk about getting the faculty involved, or again, your team involved in some decision. Maybe it's, I'm going to just throw it out. Maybe it's where we're going to go to lunch today, type thing. And you can run a shout it out. Or, what are our priorities for our campus for next year? Getting some ideas, or brainstorming on, how are we going to virtually celebrate our students' successes? Just different things like that, that you can just throw this in and be able to have it, so that way you can get everybody involved.
And with saying that, you guys are remote right now. This is something you can turn on for your faculty to do. And you can say, hey, at 3 o'clock, I'm turning this on. And if you will join and share your ideas, and you could just turn it on for them on your computer or on your board, and then it saves automatically. So you can wait to pull it up until the next week, or the next faculty meeting you have. You'll have this data as well, that it's right here. All right, so let's get connected to and look at how do you build this? How can you build this shout out? So I'm going to hit the home screen and go back to my browser. All right, so right now I see my Canvas side over here. What I'd like for you guys to do is I'd like everyone to go and open a tab and go to your Google Drive, your school's Google Drive. So your San Antonio ISD Google Drive. Once everyone has opened their Google Drive, if you can just put a yes in the chat, so I know you guys are ready to go on to learn how to build this shout it out to use with your kids tomorrow. Looks like a couple yeses are coming in.
Great, Lauren. You're going to have one tomorrow with the kids. Perfect.
All right, so we're in our Google Drive, and this is where we do everything. So one of the great things I like is that I was a Google district. I stayed in the Google ecosystem. You guys are, so you can stay in your Google ecosystem and your Canvas ecosystem, and everything kind of live in those two places. So what you're going to do right now is in your Google Drive, I want you to click on New, and I want you to click on More, and then I want you to click on Smart Learning Suite. So New, More, Smart Learning Suite. Now, if you've never done this before, you may be prompted to sign in. You'll click the purple teacher sign in the bottom right corner, and you'll sign in with your Google credentials, your school's Google credentials. And it may ask for a display name. That's what your students call you. It may show you a video. Just X out of the video. And your goal is to get to what's called our Smart Learning Suite dashboard in just a moment. Looks like my computer's working on it, or my board is. So we had some pretty exciting updates recently. Oh, and I'm probably going to sign into mine. Some pretty exciting updates that are going to make our lives so much easier. I'm gonna try one more time. There we go. I need to become a teacher though. That's weird. And so I'm going to be actually walking through the sign-in steps as well. Let's see, we have a brand new website that I'm having to navigate through. Okay, it remembers me, Casey Dramatic, my Google account. So I'm going to click sign in.
Casey, you need to tell Min I'm mad that I have to get a new ID number.
Do you really?
Yes, my ID number changed. I'm not a happy camper.
Boo. Boo. Now you're just gonna have to hit reset till you get one that you really like. Till you get a really good one. I know, I magically landed on a good one. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that are new, guys, really cool things that are now available on Smart Learning Suite. We don't have the time to deep dive them, but just know Kelly and I are doing continued Wednesday trainings for you guys. And we'll also be participating on y'all's event March 16th and 17th. So if you really want some time to deep dive a lot of what Smart Learning Suite Online can do, you can continue coming to our Wednesdays. You can come and join some of the sessions in March 16th and 17th. And then we also have some weekly free webinars that you can join. They're about 30 minutes. If you can't join live, you can watch the recording and still get a certificate for participating. So we'll share some of those resources. Those will be in the Canvas course that Kelly has as well.
And I'll put the link to the new video also of the new features in there.
Yes, awesome. So we have a video of all the new features. They're really exciting. There's a couple of my favorites. I'm showing you one of my favorites. As Kelly said, shout out to one of her favorites. It's also one of mine, and now it's even more so. So what I want everyone to do is click on the green Add Activities button. And notice we have a bunch of things here. We're going to focus on the shout out. If you look, there's a magnifying glass beside it. If you ever click on that magnifying glass, it actually kicks out a little video that will show you what is possible. So if you want to get a quick look, I'm going to walk you through it today, so we won't look at it now. I'm going to touch shout it out, and you guys can do the same thing. Shout it out is one of those tools that's really easy and quick to use. Now, something new for Shout It Out is we can now type our question and it will be displayed for our students. In the past, I just had to keep saying over and over again, I want you to share a word that rhymes with cat, or I want you to share a 6-word summary for the Langston Hughes poem we just read. I always had to say and repeat and repeat and repeat. Now I don't have to do that. I can actually type my question. So I'm going to do summarize in 6 words. Oh, I have a lot of S's and M's. There we go. Summarize in 6 words. Now you can do anything you want. You could do 1 to 4. How are you feeling about your learning? 1 being I really am confused. 4 being I feel really confident. You could say share an emotion word of how you're feeling about your weekend. It's up to you. So you're going to type your question. Okay. The other thing you can choose is either do randomized or categories. Randomized is what I did earlier, where your questions just kind of flew up like Post-it notes on it, putting on on chart paper. You can also do categories. So if I want to do like a KWL chart, or if I wanted to do the positives and negatives, or examples and non-examples, I can choose categories as well. So I click on categories and I can choose up to 4. I'm going to keep mine randomized today. Next to that, I can choose text or images. So my students can either share images or they can share text. Currently, they can't go back and forth. It's one or the other. I have to decide as a teacher what I want them to do. In this case, I want them to share text, so I'm going to leave it at text. Underneath that, I have how many times can a student share? So right now, I have that they can share 3 times. Well, in this particular task, I want each student only share 1 time. They're sharing 1 summary. If I was having them brainstorm everything they know about the moon, I might up that number to 20, so they have as many times as they need to share lots of facts. But I'm going to minimize or lower mine. Now I'm going to hit next. Now here's where the magic has happened. In the past, we always had to stick with the classic, which was just a gray background, which is what you see highlighted here. But notice next to there's custom. Now we can do a custom background, which is what I did earlier. So if I click on custom, I'm going to hit next. Now, right now we just see the gray background, but if you look in the top right corner, you see a blue square with mountains. If I touch that, I can now choose to add an image. Now here, I'm on my computer. I could find an image on my computer, but something really cool is available. So I don't have an image already saved. I'm gonna click on the middle part. And what that's gonna do is open another window. Now notice this window, I can upload an image from my device. So if I have an image saved that I wanna use, so I could have a Google slide and save it as a JPEG and use it. Or I could have a picture that I want to use of a student in my class and we want to brainstorm all the things that are great about that student. I could add an image of my student. But I can also do a Bing safe search for some images. So if I click in here, I can search the web for pictures that I'm allowed to use that are Creative Commons license free and we're able to use them. So let's say I was having my kids share things summarizing different things they learned about different continents from our study of continents. I can search for continents and I'm going to have a bunch of images here. I can go and find one that works for what I want to do. I think I'm going to go back up to this one here. Yep, I think I'm going to use this one. So I can add that image. Maybe. There we go. Once I add the image, notice that it's in the selected image section. I double clicked on mine to get it to show up there. And now I can click OK. So now this is the background my kids are going to see on my board. They're going to see the continents.
Okay, don't hit finish yet. I'm going to let you finish talking about that, but then I want us actually to go back previous to a page.
Okay.
So go ahead and finish there and then I'll tell you why.
All right, so we're going to go back to previous?
Yes, because one of the things that, can you go back one more? Sorry. One other setting that Casey can put on is the names. So again, having that safe environment for our students and having them being willing to share, you have the option of showing the first 3 letters of their name or hiding it. Know that if you hide it and the students leave the Zoom, you can afterwards come back and turn that on so that you know what contributions did Kelly provide, what contributions did Casey provide. But you can set that up from the start. So again, providing that safe environment for students to participate, whether or not they get the answer right or wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I taught kinder and through 5th grade. My kindergartners wanted their names on everything. They didn't care if their answers were wrong or not. They're like, that one was mine. But my 5th graders were definitely, much more hesitant to share if they were worried that they would be judged by friends. So you can turn those names off and you can hide them. And as Kelly said, you have the power as a teacher to turn them back on when you're ready. So I can ask a question, what's really stumped you today in your learning? Like what was frustrating for you? The kids know no one will know who wrote what is set up there. But at the end of the day, when the kids have gone home, you can open this lesson back up, turn those names on, and really sort the kids, even maybe make some small groups. So, hey, I need to work with these kids a little bit more. They're struggling. This group is ready for a new challenge, and you can really use it to differentiate your learning as well. All right, so I have added my picture. I'm going to hit finish. And just like that, it's building my lesson. And it's going to build that shout it out in editing mode at first so that I can name it. And so that if I wanted to, I could add additional content. You don't always have to add additional content, right? You may just want to use this as is and not have additional pieces. Just so you know, on the bottom, there's a blue toolbar that allows if you wanted to add more things, you could. I'm not going to today. Notice in the top left corner, it says untitled. If I leave it untitled, it's going to be in your Google Drive called untitled, which if you've ever searched your Google Drive for untitled, it's frightening. So you want to give it a name. I'm going to call this continents. Notice that, and we'll pretend it's spelled right. Notice that it saves automatically, so I don't have to do anything. I don't want to close this or hit finish editing until it says saved past tense. So now that it says saved past tense, I can hit finish editing. And it's going to take me back to my main Smart Learning Suite dashboard right here. Tomorrow, if I want to launch this lesson for my students, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Google Drive and I can do new, more Smart Learning Suite. This will pop up and now I can hit start by just touching it and it starts the lesson for my students. Now, we showed you guys today how your kids can do this directly within Canvas, and that's what our goal is for you guys. But if you are wanting to test this out tomorrow and maybe you don't have your Canvas connected yet, what you'll see is on the left side, you see people over here. And if I press that out, there's a little arrow right at the top, a little arrow pointing out, and that actually pushes out to remind my kids that they can go to Hello Smart and enter that class ID to join. Again, if you do it through Canvas, your kids don't have to navigate to hellosmart.com. I just had to click on the word smart, and so did you in Canvas. And the first time, of course, signing in, getting your kids signed in, then they were pulled into the lesson when you start it, when you launch it.
And so,
so Kelly, what I know that you wanted to add some information, share some information about how you get connected to being able to do this directly within the Canvas. Is there anything else you want me to address before you start talking about those pieces?
No, are there questions for Casey? And again, Casey and I are here to co-present together. So know if you've got questions for her, if you think of them after I flip to my screen, just we've got her here. Any questions, any thoughts? I guess here's my piece too. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being I'm using it tomorrow, I'm ready to go, and 1 being I'm really unsure. How are we feeling with that whole Zoom, that putting Zoom onto the board, being able to have your kids completely see the board, and being able to run things then through the browser and through Canvas? How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? If you can put into the chat how you're feeling, just again, so it helps us know what we may need to do. Okay, we're in a range anywhere from 2 to 4. Great, that's what we need to know. Like I said, and Lauren, you go for it. You got to start somewhere. So I'm gonna try to come over. I can't promise because I'm supposed to be at another school. But again, we're here to support.
Lauren, I will be on my computer. So if you have any questions or problems and Kelly can't get to you, you can email me or message me. I'll be sitting here waiting to hear how it goes.
So again, we're here to support, and we're going to continue to grow your smart skills throughout. So what I'm going to do now is kind of address a couple things of how do I get that full Canvas integration. And we've got.
Do you want to share your screen, Kelly, to show that, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm gonna knock you out.
I'll stop sharing. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so here in your Canvas course, so you all have joined my course and you saw that smart button here. Okay, know that there are resources that take you through the steps of adding that, what we call a redirect button. Okay, but where are all those resources, Kelly? Where do I get them? So if you go into the modules of the course, and once you're in here, the very first module and section is learn. And so how I've set this up is I think about the students in mind. So to me, you all are my students. I'm trying to make it very easy and organized for you. So I've kept the tools in alphabetical order. It keeps telling me I want to put smart to the top, but again, trying to keep things alphabetically. And then from there, you would scroll down to smart, and you have some different pieces here. This one kind of just gives you a little bit of information about Smart Learning Suite Online, but the resource page. So the files that Casey and I build are going to be linked on here, along with additional pieces. So know that you've got training files on just different things. Casey had sent to me today because there was a cleaning. I've already put that. Like I said, there's the new release that was just there. And then the recordings from these files, we've got those on here. So this is going to continue to grow. I did call out Smarts PLN on Twitter. So if you're a social media person, they're putting things about the webinars, about the new releases, conversation pieces. So that's another place to go. The other place, if I go back to the modules, because we're talking about Zoom and things, you can also come to the Smart Learning Suite online. I gotta remember, there is in here the whole piece on in the synchronous on how do you add that redirect tool. So know that it is here within the file. Let me go, it's towards the end, but you do have the pieces right here. How do I get that Canvas integration? And then Susan had asked about the asynchronous. How do I get it for my students asynchronously, giving them the links? So again, both of these files are in the Smart Learning Suite online, but I do run everything trying to keep it my students in mind as I build things. And the whole piece with putting the smart here and for the asynchronous, putting the links in the modules. And Susan, this is where I would put that asynchronous lesson because it then keeps the students within Canvas. They're not bouncing out to another tab, and it keeps them there and we're able to track it. Okay. And the way I
And
do
that was my thing. That was my thing. I misunderstood. I do put the links that I get from Smart into the lesson just like that, like you were showing. I just wanted to be sure that it did get tracked because even my in-person kids sometimes will click on Smart on the navigation tool and it won't take them into Smart. So, and I found that by giving them just a direct link to the lesson within Smart, I have an issue.
Okay.
So,
and maybe Susan, it's something that I come and just join and just kind of see, where, because I know that when they're within Canvas, they still can bounce out if they want to, because they have it. But what you're saying is that they're having an issue of getting there. So yeah, if you're able to still get them that link, I mean, there's lots of things that still bounce out, like our textbooks for Savas and, some other pieces. So know that I'm just trying to make it as seamless as possible, but if it's not working.
No, we appreciate that. We do. And I was excited to learn that I could put a link from Smart Learning Suite.
Yay!
Yay!
Awesome. Awesome.
I think that's awesome. It's great that they can work asynchronously like that and that you can open that lesson anytime and see their work too.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. I am a big Smart Learning Suite user these days.
That's fantastic.
Great.
Now I just got to bring Zoom into it.
Well, yeah, now bringing all the pieces together. And Kelly has right now, and this is going to be in the resources that she sends, but we have a Zoom teacher guide that's linked there. And then Kelly has the Canvas information too. So you can get that Zoom guide's very easy to follow to help you walk through the steps. The first page is connecting through your computer with Zoom. You guys are pretty old hat at that. You've been doing that for a long time now with COVID. So really the last page is where you're going to see more about how to get the board connected and going through those steps. And some additional resources. I put in that if you guys don't mind, there's a 5-question survey that I have to have filled out for my boss. So if you have a second to fill that out really quickly, I appreciate it. I'm also including my email address in there, although it also is on the presentation slide deck that Kelly has put in the course resources too. So you can always access it there. I'm happy to help you when Kelly cannot, but I know she knows her stuff, so she can help you guys. And but I know sometimes she's pulled in lots of different directions, covering lots of different things for such a large district. So if you have something specific that I can help you with, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Definitely. And, again, Casey's a great resource. We are fortunate to have her to be able to work with us and continue to build our skills. But so on the flip side, if you can't get a hold of Casey, again, remember that we have office hours. Monday through Friday. And it's not just that troubleshooting, it's also that brainstorming. Hey, I've got this math lesson. I really want to bring in SMART. What might be some things that we recommend? So there's that. Our next 2 sessions that are coming up next week is transforming your Google Slides into engaging, interactive, synchronous and asynchronous lessons. And then the following week is building synchronous, engaging Canvas lessons with Smart Learning Suite Online. So lots of things coming up. Again, it'll be Casey and I next week. So feel free to join us. I've got the registration links there, or if you go into Performance Matters and just search for the SMART stuff, it should be all in there. We would love to see you join us again. Are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, we went over, so I apologize. We want to honor your time. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to reach out to Casey or I. Again, Casey has put.
I have a question.
Yes, Joseph.
Sure.
I came in a little late. I couldn't find the link. I actually use this. I went to visit another teacher at another district, and I was having so much of a hard time. I'm a first-year teacher, and my class is culinary arts, right? Intro, and it's more of a hands-on course because we're not in the kitchen. So I was having a really hard time till I found Smart Learning Suite. I don't have a whiteboard, but I've been successful just using a laptop, a separate monitor, and my projecting screen. So how I missed the part on Zoom through Canvas. What did I miss on that?
Okay.
So yeah,
Zoom
ahead,
with
Kelly.
Canvas. Mr. Dominguez, do you have the swivel also by chance or no? You do?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what we were saying is that, so being that you don't have a board, but you would launch Zoom on your laptop, launch it on the board. So let's take the board out of play, but you would launch your Zoom on your laptop and then be able to, within Canvas, have that redirect. So if you wanted the students to engage in the pieces that you're doing, whether it's maybe even you throw up a PDF into or want to do a shout it out like Casey just took us through, what you would do is have the kids, you could add that redirect link and have them click on SMART. They would join your course, your class within Smart Learning Suite Online, and then they'd be able to do the shout it out like we were doing there. So you're still launching from your Zoom on your laptop and just having the kids go into their Canvas course. So that way they have that ease of getting the link.
Okay.
Okay. And the slideshow will be really helpful to kind of walk you through those steps too, but you can reach out to Kelly or myself. And I really hope you guys do use those office hours. That would be amazing, just to be able to, you know, brainstorm ideas, think about how to use some of these tools and get some one-on-one support. I mean, that's huge.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you guys.
Great evening. Again, reach out to us and I'll be posting everything into the Canvas course either tonight or tomorrow.
All right.
And Lauren, you got this.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome, Lauren.
It's going to be
awesome. I know it.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.